Hey everyone, so we're back with part 2 of sales metrics. Now, in the first one, I covered top of the funnel metrics, talking about cold calling, LinkedIn, and email outreach and what you need to adjust. So if you haven't watched that, if your problem lies in the top of the funnel, in pipeline generation, then definitely watch that video. What we're going to be covering in this one is going to be in the funnel metrics. So what happens once the meeting is actually booked, it's on your calendar, what metrics should we be tracking in order to look at real data to make strategic decisions about our sales process. Stressing again, don't make any decisions based off of feelings like, hey, I think, we need to be improving our collateral. I think we need to be improving our presentation, our script. Look at the data, look at where the bottlenecks truly exist and fix that problem. So can't stress that enough. So let's dive in. In the funnel metrics start at when the meeting is actually held. So we like to qualify that, hey, if a meeting is booked on the calendar, we're going to call that an MQL, a marketing qualified lead. Now, definitions of MQLs vary, but that's how we like to define MQL is that, hey, if we were able to get a meeting on the calendar with somebody, that's a marketing qualified lead. And now a salesperson needs to attend that meeting and qualify it as a sales qualified lead. So first, you want to look at, are we getting enough meetings in order to be able to convert sales? That's a whole other calculation, which I will cover in another video. That's called your funnel math. You need to know how many meetings a month you need to be getting in order to achieve your revenue targets. So we'll cover that in another video. But assuming that you're getting enough meetings on the calendar, what's next? So from the MQL stage, you can either qualify it as an SQL, meaning a sales qualified lead. That means that they have BANT, which you might have heard of. It's budget, authority, need, timeline. So if you think you can close that deal in the short term, there's a true opportunity to sell today, or in the next like 3 months, short term, whatever your sales cycle is, then that becomes an SQL. What else can happen with an MQL is that you get on the meeting and it's completely unqualified. So what that is a disqualified lead. You just kind of delete it from your CRM or mark it as disqualified, whatever you want to do. And then the third thing is that, hey, it might not be an opportunity to sell today, but there might be an opportunity to sell in the future. And so that becomes a nurtured lead. So from an MQL, you can go SQL, disqualified, or nurture. And nurture is pretty much, your marketing team can put them into newsletters, send emails every now and then, check in every now and then, and follow up, 6 months or 1 year down the line for when they are meeting the criteria of BANT, budget, authority, need, timeline, and they become an SQL. So you want to make sure that, okay, we're getting tons of meetings, but where are they going? And if not enough are going to SQL, then you need to make the necessary adjustments, whether it's booking better meetings, targeting better people. Maybe you're going back to your top of the funnel to see, hey, are we getting the right types of people in? Is our scripting qualifying the meeting at least a little bit? Things like that is what you want to look at to get more SQLs, because at the end of the day, that's what directly impacts your revenue. If you're getting a lot of disqualified leads, again, that means your targeting is off. Start getting better meetings. So beyond the SQL stage, it really depends on your product as to what is the next step. Sometimes the next step could be a demo. Maybe you didn't do the demo on the first call, you do the demo on the second call. It could be that you have a very short sales cycle and now it's just a matter of they're in the proposal sent stage, they were good. It could be that there's a POC being scoped out or planned out, whatever the case might be. But in your sales cycle, what is the next logical next step? You should have a deal stage for that and then be tracking as to how many of these SQLs are we now converting into the next step, whether it's proposal, demo, POC, whatever the case might be. And then typically after that stage, you have a stage where you're seeing how many contracts you're sending. So you're sending the final contract, terms and agreements, you're in the negotiation stage. See how many of your proposals, your POCs or demos are actually turning into contracts sent or into negotiations. And then lastly, based off of that, you're going to then go into closed won or closed lost. So if you're seeing a bottleneck in going from your SQLs into a proposal, a demo, or a POC, it means that there needs to be work done in that initial meeting where, yes, you've qualified the lead, but maybe the presentation wasn't as good to create the sense of urgency that they need to act right away and move to the next step. That's number one. Number two, maybe your follow-up systems are broken, or maybe you're just not following up enough, or your team's not following up enough. It takes up to 7 follow-ups sometimes to actually get someone into the next step, even if they meet BANT. And one thing I'll mention is that whoever is the first to follow up, whoever is the first to respond, is very likely to get the business. Like, it's much, much more likely to win the business if you're first to respond, first to follow up. So remember that. There are statistics. I don't know the exact numbers, so I'm not going to quote it, but there are studies done on that, and it's proven through those studies. So see if you're following up enough, how you're following up, maybe automate it within your CRM if you can't, but make sure follow-ups are happening and make sure the presentation is good to build that sense of urgency for your prospect to move into the next step. Now, looking at the actual POC, the demo, the trial, the proposal, whatever that case might be, moving from there into the contract and negotiations phase, a lot of that comes down to your product. Did they actually get the value that they were hoping to get out of your trial, your POC? Something I recommend doing is setting out clear expectations in the beginning of a POC or a trial, and that if they meet those few criteria, that they are going to be willing to move forward. If the next step is really just a demo, then work on the presentation during the demo, uncovering their need, uncovering their pain points, and ensure that you're showing how your product or service actually solves their problems and makes their lives better, right? Make sure that you're benefit selling, not feature selling. You're value selling, not feature selling. Once you've looked at that, then you look at, okay, how many a bunch of people are entering the contract and negotiation stage. How many are actually going to close won or close lost? If you have a ton of leads going to close lost, well, you have to look at, well, where do things break apart, right? What is it about the contracts that they don't like? What is it about the negotiations that they don't like? Is it just that, we're not building enough value in there for the price? Is it that we are focusing too much on the price and that's where we're getting a lot of negotiations on? Are there some terms that are non-negotiable that you might need to revisit in your contract? So where are you losing those deals? Look at that as well. So those are your funnel metrics. In the funnel metrics, starting from your MQL, which is the meeting, going on to an SQL stage or a disqualified or nurture stage. Then from SQL, going into a trial, demo, POC, or proposal sent, moving into contract and negotiations, and then moving into closed won or closed lost. Identify where the bottleneck is and then tackle that problem specifically. Again, stressing that always go based off the data. Don't go based off of your feelings as to what you feel might be or might not be working. That's everything. If you have any more questions, I'm happy to get in touch. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Reach out to us at FiveRings Marketing. I'm sure we're going to include a link down below, and feel free to get in touch. Thank you.